Tennessee, and again, our conversation with two candidates for District 11. This is an open seat, John, because Justin Biggs is running for trustee. You have a follow-up question on development.
Yeah, candidates sort of related to what we were talking about in the last block, and that is, let's talk development a little bit. My question may make developers watching us at home quiver a little bit, but we are hearing increasingly about projects that are getting greater attention, and there's greater concern by residents in various parts of the county about them and about the impact. My question is this. Do we need to kind of slow the process down of thinking about projects that are being offered? Big one in Carnes recently. Do we need to be more thoughtful? Do we need to be more intentional about getting more input from the public? Or do you think everything is just fine when a developer comes along and says, here's what I want to do, and everybody goes, yep, go for it? And Kim, let's start with you.
Well, if you know my name, you know I'm one that's really pushed back on the development community, and not because I think that we have more problems than we do benefits from our development community. I just think that our standards are too low, and I think our expectations are too low in looking at other municipalities and what they're doing. And so, you know, growth is good if the infrastructure is in place, or if we're front-loading infrastructure. There are always the perks and pains of growth. You know, the perks are that we do capture additional property tax revenue, which is very much needed. It's our primary source of revenue for the county. But also the pains. It puts a tremendous amount of stress on our infrastructure and our public services. And we just haven't done a good job of really looking at our plans and our zonings and looking at development projects from a fiscal perspective and how it impacts communities, and can we afford to repave the roads that they're adding? You know, at County Commission, they're adopting, 10, 15, 20 roads every month. And no one's asking the questions of how are we going to repave those at $100,000, $125,000 a mile, just to repave a mile of road. And so those are questions that we've got to start asking. And that's why we push so hard for Advanced Knox, because that's exactly what it will do. It will give our planning staff, our department staff, our directors, it will give them tools and resources to really analyze the feasibility and the impact on communities. And that's the only way that we're going to move forward. And so to answer your question, yes, I do think we need to be more thoughtful and we need to be more responsible. And, I think we've had a hard time saying no.
Ms. Shipe, your response to that?
I think that one of the things that we're going to have to do is, we know we're growing. We know we're number 9 in the nation where everybody wants to move to. We understand we're 17,000 units behind in building according to the Realtors Association. But I think the one piece that we're going to have to change is we're going to have to bring the neighborhood and the developers to the table. Come to Jesus meeting, if you want to call it, what we used to call it. But we need to sit down and we need to talk about what the neighborhood wants. What does that neighborhood look like long term? We need to talk about when the developers are coming in, how are we changing this area? What are we doing about the infrastructure? We got to really just sit down and talk. And I think those conversations must happen before anything can be brought to a planning commission. There needs to be some kind of synergistic agreement about it, so we don't have all this arguing and all the things that are going on. A lot of times we just need to listen to the people that are living there, give them an opportunity to have input and make the changes that we need going forward. From the community standpoint, that's where it's important. What do the people want?
We only have about a minute or so left. And from each of you, 60 cents of every dollar that is spent in the county goes to education. Is that enough? Yes or no? And where would you get more money if you say it's not enough? Vivian Shipe, let's start with you.
One of the things that I think that we need to change is we have been given a check. Every year we give a check to the Board of Education. We give $540+ million to them, but we don't ask for an accounting for it. So I want to see some accounting going forward as to where we're putting our money. It might be we need to do some adjusting on that budget. Also, for some areas, we need to build up, like we're going to need more mental health, or we're going to need more teachers. We're going to do the recruiting. Then we need to, on our side of the commission, to build in more money. But let's have a conversation about where it's time to stop just handing over a check.
Ms. Frazier?
Mm-hmm. Again, with growth and development, you have more families and you have more students. Thus the need for more teachers, more administration, more facilities, and more resources. And so, yeah, I think we need a little more. I'm a huge proponent of public education. I'm the product of public education. I have 2 boys that are intelligent, wonderful products of the public education, but I think we need to do more. Resources, of course, it's always a tough, challenging conversation to have, but we've got to start having them. It's difficult right now. Resources in Knox County are slim. And if we don't get creative and start having these hard conversations, it's not sustainable. You know, one thing that I've looked at other municipalities is that when we do have growth and development, that development, it tends to put the pressure on those school systems. Well, we need a little bit more accountability from those folks. So I think there's some ways that we can get some things accomplished if we all come together to the table. You know, I tell people my table's wide and long, and there's a place for everyone. And I learn more from other people's perspectives than being around people that are like-minded. And so it just takes a lot of conversation. We've really lost the art of intentional conversation and talking about realistic solutions. And that's really what I'm good at.
Well, Ms. Frazier, Ms. Shipe, we appreciate both your time on this Sunday morning. Best of luck in August, and we'll certainly be in touch down the campaign trail. We're back with our conversation with John right after this.